Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to do a single stitch on plastic canvas. Here I have an example of one row of single stitch on plastic canvas. There we go. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to do the most common stitch for your plastic canvas projects. As always, if you're here to learn a new hobby, or expand your knowledge of this craft, or if you're just here to relax, you've come to the right place. So let's get started. In front of me here is a project I did quite some time ago. It's a tissue box holder or tissue box cover. But what's cool about this one is that it's kind of got all of the different stitches. Spoiler alert, future videos I do will include some of these stitches. But the one that we're going to be doing today is this single stitch. And as you can see, what I did with it in this project is I used it as a filler between the other larger stitches. Now, you don't have to do that. You can make an entire project out of just single stitches alone. But this is how I tend to use them. It's sort of as a background filler stitch. So what you'll need, of course, is 7 mesh plastic canvas. Most of the time you find it in full sheets like this. But I've got a square over here that we will be using as an example. If you would like more information about the materials that you need to get started with plastic canvas, I'll place a tag up here in the upper right to my video on things that you'll need to get started. So let's cut our yarn first. Have this nice, well, let's get this guy out of the way here. I'm going to need some space. Got this nice green here, and again, if it's a color that you're going to use a lot, such as your blacks and your whites, it's worth getting the larger skeins. Uh, I tend to make a lot of Christmas stuff, so having green is always going to have a need for it. I don't know what color this is specifically. Ivy. It's called Ivy. Okay. So we're going to get some yarn here. Now, how much you get will depend on how long of a stitch you're going to be doing, but I think it's more important to just get a length of yarn that you are comfortable working with. I think we're almost there. Right there. Let's stop right there. So we're going to get our scissors and there we go. Make sure you leave enough on there that you can find the end of the yarn on the skein later. All right. Where's our needle? Here's our needle. And here's our canvas. So now that we've cut the yarn, we want to make sure that we get the yarn into the needle. And what my mom used to do is she used to lick the end of the yarn to make it wet and then stick it through the hole in the needle. I'm too much of a germaphobe for that. So what I like to do is I like to fold the yarn over on itself and just make a nice little point with it. Then I slide it into the hole in the needle. And then you should be able to pull it through. So now that it looks like this. As far as how much of a tail you leave, just leave enough that it doesn't fall out of the needle, but you also don't want to have it be ridiculously long either. So maybe an inch or two, that's all you need. And of course, if you are having trouble getting it into the hole on the needle, you can always just use a little bit of water to wet it. One of the nice things about plastic canvas is that you don't have to start in a particular location. We could start on the bottom left if we wanted to. I tend to start on the bottom right of projects. I tend to stitch right to left, but if left to right works better for you, then that's what's the best direction for you. The direction that we go is going to matter because the slant of the stitch is going to be different depending on how you do the stitch. So let me show you. This is the correct way. Everyone see this right here? We're going to go in from the back side to start this stitch. Okay, so from the back side, we're going to go in, we're going to pull our yarn through, and this is expert tip number 1. If you hold the tail of the yarn up against the back of the canvas, as we do our stitch, we will cover that yarn tail. And that's going to save us time because then we're not going to have to go back in and weave it through and then cut off the excess. It'll already be done. So we're just going to use I guess I'm using my middle finger to hold that in place on the back side. So now that we've come in from the back on this one, we are going to go up 1 and over 1. So up 1 and then to the right 1. Right there. And then we're just going to pull it through. There we go. What is next? Well, our yarn's on the back side. It's got to come in from the back side then. So this one right here is our next one. So as you'll notice, that is going to start to cover up our initial tail on the back. So here we go. And then same thing, up 1, right 1. And it goes. Go through. And we're just going to rinse and repeat. I'll do a couple more the correct way, and then I'll show you the wrong way. So here we go, from the back side. Up 1, over 1. Looks like we got a little fuzz ball on the yarn. Let's get rid of that. All right. So I'm going to flip it over here, and you can see that it's starting to cover that tail. That's what we want. Also, notice how the back stitch is slanted. That's what we want. So now I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to show you what it would look like if you did this the wrong way. If we go right here, and then we go right here, it might look like we're about to do the same stitch if we go from the top down to the bottom. This might look the same, right? Let's do one more so you can see what I'm talking about. These might look the same, but if we turn them around and look at it from the back side, we will notice that the bottom one has a slanted back stitch and the top one just goes up and down. Not only does this make it more difficult to weave the tails in, but it actually affects the degree of the slant. It has a better coverage when you have slanted back stitches than if you just do up and down back stitches. So one of the nice things about plastic canvas is you can very quickly undo those stitches. So we're going to undo those example stitches that we just did. And then we'll get back to doing it the right way. I've found that plastic canvas isn't so much one big secret or one big piece of advice, it's a lot of small ones. All right, so now we're back to where we started. Let's continue and let's finish this row. Again, we're holding that tail in the back. So we're going to go bottom, pull it through, up one, right one, come in on the bottom from the back, up one, right one. All right, coming from the bottom, up one, right one. We've almost got that tail covered in the back. All right, from the bottom, up one, right one. Well, I think it's almost covered. Almost. One more and it'll be completely covered. All right, we're almost halfway done with this row. Up one, right one. All right, from the bottom, up one, right one. Let's check that back here. And yep, that back stitch has covered that tail quite nicely. And this slanted back stitch is also going to help us weave in later. Let's go ahead and finish this row. And the more practice you get, of course, the faster you will get. Now I'm going to make a mistake right here on purpose. I'm going to show you how you can fix it. So let's say that we go on the bottom like we're supposed to, but then instead of up one, right one, we just put it in the one right above it. Oops. Well, the good news is that we can just do what we just did in reverse. So we came in from the front on this hole. Now we're just going to come in from the back and take it back out. And then there you have it, like it didn't even happen. All right, we're moving right along. We're about 3/4 of the way done with this row. And once you get used to it, you won't even have to think about it. Heck, you might even be able to do it without looking at it. You might just be able to do it by feel. All right. Almost there. All right. Just 2 more to go. one more to go. And then right there, last stitch. Oop, there we go. We've done our first full row of single stitches. Now I've got more yarn here than I need to cut off. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to insert the needle underneath of these last maybe 4 or 5 stitches. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to do this one more time so you guys can get a good angle on it. Insert our needle underneath. Make sure you're not getting in between the yarn, that you're getting the whole stitch. Okay? And 4, 5, 6, just enough to hold it over time. We're going to pull that yarn through. Get a nice tug. There we go. So one last thing to do. We're going to come in with our nice sharp scissors and cut that off. And there we have it, our completed first row of single stitches. See, that wasn't so hard. Well, folks, thank you for joining me today. Stay tuned, as I will be able to share more with you in upcoming videos about plastic canvas. And eventually, I might even share some videos on crochet and knit as well. So keep an eye out. Heck, even consider liking this video and subscribing if you like this content and would like to see more. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comments section. Once again, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll see you next time.